start now. So yeah, so I'm sharing the notes through Git, right? So people are not giving your email IDs, GitHub account IDs. Okay, so Sham, Naveen already shared with me. Sham, if you have created your GitHub account, so just share your email ID. I'll give you the GitHub access. Okay, okay. I'll give you the access. So let me open. See, this is the very useful thing. So as I said, how the employees are working in the project through the Git. So Git is important. So to habituate now itself, so I am giving the notes through the Git, right? So you people can uh, use the commands, GitHub commands. Then it will be useful to you. So this I'm giving this PyCore one repository. Uh, so right now Yashwant has only the access for this repository. Okay, and he pulled notes, and now I'm giving the no access to location now. Yeah, Pujit also given. So this email with this email ID, like you should have the GitHub access. Then only you, please create the GitHub account. Okay, add location, and also I'm adding this. I think Pujita, the starting letter is small p, right? Okay, I'm adding. So make sure you can create a GitHub account, then you will get the access. Once, yeah, Naveen, you also shared. Yeah, thanks. I'm sharing. Add people and okay. So if you don't know how to clone this repository, so just let me know. I'll tell you. Okay. At the end of the class, I'll tell you that thing. So we can start the class now. Okay. So in the last class where we are, uh, so we have completed the looping control flow statements. Okay, conditional statements if else, and looping statements while and for loop. So while loop will execute set of statements repeatedly until this condition becomes false, and for loop will execute so with respect to elements, number of elements. So if the number of elements is 10, so 10 times this loop will be repeated. And if you want to what do you say, if you want to break the loop, so there are two statements, one is break and continue. Break will exit the loop, so whenever this statement reaches, then it will exit the loop, and continue will skip the iterations. Wherever we reach the continue statement, after below the continue statements, the code will not execute, it will go to the loop starting. So also we have seen the what do you say, so we have seen these mm, uh, examples. Okay, so if let me open the Visual Studio Code, and as I mentioned, for faster development I am using this Visual Studio Code, but what I am recommending you, as you are learner, just use ideally. Okay, ideally, and take a new file and write the programs here. Okay, because you will memorize all of the keywords. Okay, if you write import, okay, so these keywords, like you will memorize. Otherwise, if you use this Visual Studio Code or PyCharm, any other editors, so what will happen, So it will give you the suggestions, right? It will give you the suggestions. Okay, so if you write im, so it is giving, and if you enter import, so you will never remember these keywords. So at least for completing the python, so for till completing the python, make sure you can use the ideally. Okay, so practice in ideally only. Okay, so we have seen these control flow statements. Okay, now today we are going to see immutable and mutable objects. Mutable and see, many people just they are reading the definition, they are telling these are immutable, these are mutable, but you should know what exactly it is. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what is immutable and mutable objects. Okay, so immutable objects, the objects which does not allow to the modification of the contents, those objects are known as immutable object. Okay, so what is object basically? Can anyone answer what is object? Okay, what is object? As I said, so when this a equals 10, b equals to 10, c equals 10, something, when this statement is executed, what will happen? What will happen? Tell me. In the background, what will happen? So it will create an object. It will create an object. What does it mean? What does it mean? Creating an object is called memory allocation, right? So it is allocating the memory. So memory allocation is called actually, so this is called object. Okay, these object are two types: immutable object, mutable object. So immutable object, so for this statement, memory is allocated in some address. Okay, some address, the memory is allocated. So what is the data? 10. 10. So 10 is integer. Okay, this object is int object, but it is either one of the type, immutable object or mutable object. So what is this object? Int object. Okay, so int object, and it is referencing a, it is referencing the variable a, it is referencing the variable a. So a is pointing this address. Okay, so a is pointing to the address. So as I said earlier, in a variable, a is the container, so variable. So it contains the address, not the value. So if you ask the value of a will give you the address. Hey, yeah, your required value in this address, go and take the value. So it is like that. Okay, so this object is, it is a data is integer, so it is int object. So this int object is either one of the type. So what type? Either mutable or either mutable or immutable. So how we can say this is mutable or this is immutable? How we can say? How we can say this is mutable or this is immutable? How we can say? So how we can say means, like, if it is a immutable object, if it is an immutable object, for the same content, for the same content, for the same content, for the same content, the new memory will not create. So this is for a, and this is for b, and this is for c. Okay, so three statements: a equals 10, b equals 10, c equals to 10. So for a equals 10, one memory is created in this address. Okay, and b is equal to 10, same data, same data. So there is already one memory is allocated for this data. Okay, again, why we want to create for the same data in different different address? So it is waste of memory, right? If we create for the same data in two different, the memory is unnecessary waste, right? So creating these objects. Okay, so if the object is immutable object, so basically it will not create new object for the same data. So this address, whatever the address is there, no, this is sharing same. B is also referring this address and C is also referring this address. Okay, so B is A, B, C, all are sharing this address. If you ask the A value A, it will give you this address. If you ask the C value, it will tell you this address. If you ask the B value, so because A, B, C, all of these variables, the data is same. Okay, so without creating new object, it is sharing the already existing object. Already existing object. So, okay, let me tell you the this thing with practical. So A is equal 10. A is equal 10. So what happened? So one object is created. One object is created. So in some way address. So how to know the address? ID of A. ID of A. Okay. So this is the address. Okay. Now B is equal to, you are taking again same 10. 10. So what will happen for this also? It should create the object. It should create the object. Okay, so for the first line it is created, and the address is 443261112. Okay, and this is the data is 10. 10, and this is the int. So int object is immutable. Because why it is immutable? If you take the same data with another variable, so if you check the id of B, if you check the id of B, id of B, see, it is giving, it is sharing the same address. It is not creating another address. If you take C is equal to 10 also, if you check the id of C, if you check the id of C, so this is also sharing the same address. If you take the D is equal to 20, then this is the different data. Then it will create a new object. New object. So creating new object is called, creating new object is called memory allocation. Creating new memory allocation is called object actually. So object. So this is the uh, address. So in this address, so 20 is for 20 data 20, it is created. This is also int. This is also int. Okay, so this integer is the immutable object. Okay, likewise same, same float. If you take the float, float is also immutable object. Okay, so int float, int float, int float, string, boolean, complex. Okay, all fundamental data types, all fundamental data types are the immutable object. So these will not allow the modification. These will not allow the modification. So I'll tell you why it is not, how it is not um, allowing the modification in the immutable object. Tuple is also there, tuple data structure. So there I'll show you whether it is allowing the modification or not. Okay, so the object does not allow the modification of the contents. Okay, does not allow the modification of the content. So that means I'll show you why it is not uh, allowing the modification. See, so this is address of A, right? Okay, this is address of A. So here one address is created, and what is the data? 10. 10. And so what is the address is this one, 112 is the address. Okay, see, in the same address, if I wanted to change the A value, so A is equal to, I wanted to change A equals to 20. Okay, I wanted to change the A equals to 10, 20. See, if it is changing, what will happen? In the same address, instead of 10, it should change the 20, right? Okay, so now you can check the id of A. Id of A, see, it is created new object. It is destroyed. So it is destroyed and created new object. New object for A variable. Okay, so here it is also a. See, here we are noticing that it is not modifying. See, if it is modified, instead of 10 in the same address, it should be there 20, but it is not editing in the same address. It is destroying and it is recreating the new object. Okay, so that is what this is not changing the address. This is not changing the address. Sorry, it is changing the address, meaning it is not allowing the edit. So it is not allowing the edit, so that's why it is not modifying the object. Okay, the objects which does not allow the modification of the content of those objects are known as immutable object. See, before creating immutable object with some content, the Python interpreter verify is already any object is available in memory location with the same content or not. See, before creating new object, first it will verify. Python interpreter will verify whether already any object is there with the same data. Okay, so if it is same data, then that if already object is present in memory location with the same content, without creating new object, already existing object address will be given to the reference variable. Object address will be giving the reference variable. Okay, so all the fundamental data types and tuple are the immutable objects. So which are comes under immutable objects. So all fundamental data types. What are the fundamental data types? If you go back to the data types, where is the data types? Where is the data type? Not here. See here data types. So fundamental data type, collection data types. What are the fundamental data types? Into, float to complex boolean string. So these all are immutable object. Remember, don't confuse. All fundamental data types are immutable. So immutable objects will not allow the modification, and it will not create the new object with the same data. Okay, it will not create the new object for the same data. Okay, so do these two things you can remember. So all fundamental data types are immutable objects. These are not allow the modification, and for the same content it will not create the new object. Existing address only it will be sharing. Yeah, and along with all fundamental data types, there is one more uh, data type is tuple data structure. So tuple will also immutable object. Tuple is also immutable object. So immutable object performance is high. So because it is not allowing the modification, right? So for reading the values, it is very fast for immutable objects. And applying the iterations. Iterations means looping. So if one time it is executed, one iteration. Same content, if it is second time executed, second iteration. Iteration means loop, one loop, two loop, one iteration, two iteration, like that. So applying the iterations on immutable objects takes less time. It will take the less time. Okay, and mutable objects. So what are the mutable objects? The objects which allows the modification of the content of those objects are known as mutable objects. Okay, the objects which allows to modify the content, the objects which allows to modify the content of those objects are called mutable objects. So it will allow the modification. So we can create two different mutable object with the same content. See, for example, i'm I'm taking one list L equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3. So the list is like this. Okay, and some S is equal to second list. Okay, same content 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, same content. But if you check ID of L and if you check ID of S, so both the addresses are different. Both the addresses are different, right? So even the same content. So this object is list object. So this list is the mutable object, and it will allow the modification. It will allow the modification. So if you change this value, and it will allow the modification. So these things we will see in the data structures, list data structure. Okay, so there we will see how to modify the data with this object. Okay, so what are the mutable objects? List, set, dict. These three are the mutable object. These three are the mutable objects. So mutable objects performance is low when compared to the immutable objects, because here modification is allowing, right? So while doing modification and doing the iterations, some performance is low compared to immutable objects, and applying the iterations on mutable objects takes huge time. So iterations on mutable objects, so as I said, iterations are looping. So if we apply the loop on the mutable objects, so mutable objects, so from reading from object, okay, see for example, let's say, so this is a immutable object, this is a mutable object. So there is some data, okay, there is some data. So here 1 comma 2 comma 3, okay, so here also 1 comma 2 comma 3, okay. So let's say this is the immutable object, immutable, okay. So and let's say this is the mutable object, mutable object. So what is the time? Oh, he takes huge time, less time, we are performance is low. So we are talking about this, right? Performance and time taking, right? So if it is immutable, picking the elements from this object, from this object, so 1 2 3, okay. So when we use the for loop, it is range function is there, no? So there we got 1 2 3 values like this, right? So same, if we read the immutable object 1 2 3, and here if you read the mutable object 1 2 3, so if we compare the both the time, okay, so this will take less time, this will take somewhat, it is in fraction of seconds only, but this performance is high, this performance is somewhat low, because it is allowing the modification, it is not allowing the modification. So just for reading, see, read access, write access, there are some access, right? So update, delete we can do in the mutable, okay. But in immutable, only reading purpose, only reading, no modification, no deleting, no updating, so only reading. So to reading is very fast here compared to here. So because these are not allowing the modification, these are allowing the modification, okay. So this is uh, a small introduction about this objects. So remember, object means memory allocation for the data, okay. Object means memory allocation for the data, okay. So reading the data from keyboard, this is already we have seen input function. In the top we have seen the input function, this is already completed. Controller input, somewhere already we have seen type conversions. See here, input function is already we have covered. So it will take the data in, it will read the data in the form of, in the form of string only, the form of string only. Yeah, mutable also reading the data from the keyboard. So it is reading the data in the form of um, string only. So input function is built-in function which reads the data in the form of string format only. After reading the data in the form of string, we can convert the string to required form by using the type conversion. So this is already done, okay. So now also I'll give you small, let me clear this and let me open again. Now tell me, okay, so s equals to 10, sorry, s equals to 10, d equals to 20, so sorry, 200, okay. So what is the output of s plus d? Can anyone tell what is the output of this s plus d? Fast.
10200.
10200, correct. So let me hit the output 1020. Now again I'm giving s equals to 10 d equals to uh, 200. Now tell me what is the output of s plus d? Come on. What is the output of s plus d?
Error వస్తుంది.
What error?
Type errors.
Correct. Type error. So because both are different type, int and string. Okay. Correct. So if you give the input of some enter a number and this is stored in a equals to incomplete. Oh, sorry. I did not enclosed this. Okay, it is asking enter a number. Okay, I'm entering 100. Okay, if I check the type of a, what is the output? If I check the type of a, what is the type of a? Hmm?
Integer.
No, string. C, class string. So that is what if you use the input function, whatever you enter, that is always taking in string only. So that's what we are using the type conversions. So if you want to convert this into integer, what we are doing, we are converting into type, int of int of this string. Okay, now if I enter 100, okay, what is the type of a now? What is the type of a now? Same, enter a number 100, type of a, it is given string. Now I'm converting using the type conversions into int of this string. So I'm converting string to int. So what is the value?
Int.
Yes. So this class is int class. So every data type is a class. Okay. So let me run it again. Now tell me one more thing. So a equals to int of input function and enter a enter a number. Okay, and closing. So now, so if I enter a number something like the abc. Okay, so what is the output if I enter abc? What is the value of a? So what is the value of a? What is the value of a? Anybody? Is it abc or value error? Which one?
Value error.
Correct. So this will be the value error. So because we can't convert this abc into type. Okay, so this already we have done in the type conversion, and also we used input function. Okay, so just to go through the previous class and notes, you will get it. Okay, so now uh, where we are? So we have completed what is mutable and what is immutable object. Now tell me, what are the immutable objects? So what are the immutable objects? Int, float, string, complex, boolean, and also tuple. These are the immutable. So what are the mutable? What are the mutable objects? List,
Set,
set,
dict.
dict. So these are the mutable objects. So don't confuse. Remember these things. And immutable objects are allowing the not allowing the modification. Immutable objects are not allowing the modification. Mutable objects are allowing the modification. Okay. And so this will, for the same content, it will not create new object, but even the same content, it will create the object for the mutable objects. Okay, so these things you can remember. Okay, so now we will see the data structures. So data structures are a way of organizing and storing data that they can be accessed and worked with efficiently. They define the relationship between the data and the operations that can be performed on the data. So data structures means, so the data structures are way of organizing and storing the data. See, if we take some string, right? So how it is storing in the memory, the structure. See, basically how the data is storing. See, for example, this is a memory. Okay, so if you give the data, so each character, okay, each character that is storing, it is organizing the data in a structure, storing the data in a structure. Okay, for example, if you take the data yogi, so for example, a is in storing in here, and y is storing here, and o is storing here, and g is storing here, and I is storing here. Okay, so likewise the data is storing. So the way of organizing the data storing that can be accessed, and how we can access, for example, if I want to access this data, if I want to access this y, okay, the way of how they can be accessed and worked efficiently. So I wanted to access this data only from this object. I wanted to take this data and I wanted to use efficiently. So they define the relation between the data and operation. See, for example, I am taking this data and I'm adding to some other data. Okay, for example, there is one more name is there. Okay, some. Okay, so now I'm taking this data, I'm picking up this data, and I'm doing some operations, addition or concatenation, some conversions I'm doing. So the relations between the objects, this is another object, this is another object. Okay, and performing the operations, so that can be performed on the data, so on this data. So this entire thing is called data structures. So simply data structures are called the way of a data is organizing and storing, and how the way of accessing the data is called data structures. So there are several data structures are there. We will go through one by one. Okay, the first one is a string data structure. Data structure. So what is string? So group of characters or sequence of characters is known as string. Okay, so what is string? So as of now we used string, but now actually how we are going to learn more about this string data structure. Strings are stored in str class object. As I told, every data type is internally implemented as class. If you take the data type int, So what are the data types? Int, string, float, okay, boolean, and complex, right? So these all are data types. So for every data type we have one class int, class float, and class str. These are the classes which are already created, which are already created in the predefined, okay, boolean. But what is class? What are there inside this class? So what are the functionalities are there inside this class? We will learn in the oops concept. Okay, for now you can just every data type is a class. So these objects are stored in a str class object. Str class objects can be stored in two ways. So one is single quotation or double quotation. Okay, one is single quotation or just a minute. Okay, anybody have any doubts till now? I'm continuously going, but please feel free to stop me and ask the questions. Don't hesitate. Okay.
Can you repeat the data structure once again, sir?
Okay. Okay. So the data structure, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So data structure means, see, if you write any statement, as I said many times, if you define any declaration like a equals to 100, b equals 100, some a equals to a yogi, some string or anything if you define, so that is for that statement what is happening, it is allocating the memory, right? It is allocating the memory for every assigning the value. Okay, that is called object. But in that object, the data is how it is organizing, the way of organizing and storing the data. Okay, so basically what will happen, if you go in detail further data structure, the data how it is happening, I'll tell you. So for example, if you take a list, okay, a list inside another list, okay, another list 1 comma 2 comma 3, okay, this is called nested list. It will come after in the list class. Okay, so 4 comma 5 comma 6, okay, and another list is 8 comma 10 something. Okay, so this is called nested list. Okay, nested list. If you can see, see, so actually this is outer thing is the one list, but inside this is one list, this is one list, and this is one list, and outermost is one more list. Okay, for this data, this is one data. Okay, for example, this is some uh, data equals to, okay, data equals to, okay, data equals to this. For this data, how it is organizing in the memory and how it is storing this data, so that and how we can access them and use them, and how we can perform the operations on this data. So that is data structure. So how it is organizing, I'll show you. So for example, for outermost list, one object is created. Okay, one object is created. Okay, one object is created, and within this object, okay, within this object, again we have 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and 1 2 3. Sorry, 1 2 3 and 4 5 6 and 8 9 10, right? So these are, so this is one address. Okay, this is one address, and the inside there are some other list, right? For this also some different address. Okay, some different address it will store. Some different address it will store. And again in this object, okay, again in this object, so there are so here three elements, three objects, three int objects will be created. So this is for 1, this is for 2, this is for 3. Same like that for this also, 4 5 6, one int object, another int object, another int object. So 8 10 also it will create one object, one object for this. So likewise for every object it will create individual objects within the objects. So likewise it is organizing. Okay, likewise it is organizing. Okay, so I'll show you this this nested objects. So the definition is the data which is how it is organizing and storing, and how we can access them. So we will see how we can access from this list, nested list. We'll also see that how we can access and how it is storing in the memory. Okay, so this is called the data structures. So there are several data structures. In that, first we are seeing the string data structure. Are you clear, Naveen? Do you have any?
Yes, yes. No, yes, clear.
Yeah. See, if you have any doubt, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask me. Okay. Just stop me and ask your questions and clarify. Okay. Next. So string data structure means, so it is stored that objects in str class. Okay, str class, and str class objects can be created in two ways. So you can use single quotations. Okay, you can use single quotations or single triple quotations. So either one is fine. So if you take a equals to okay, a equals to um, yogi. Okay, this is also fine. Or you can take double double quotation, but one time only, single quotations. So this is also fine. Okay, or else, so b is equal you can take three single quotations, 1 2 3, and yogi, and 1 2 3. So this is also string. And you can take three double quotations, 1 2 3, and write some string, 1 2 3. So this is also string, this is also string, this is also string, this is also string. So we can create string object like this. We can create string object like this. So if you write like this, one object is created for string class, string, that is called string object, that is called string object. Okay, see, either one is fine. But when to use single quotations, when to use triple quotation, single quotations to represent one line string. So if you have only one line string, then recommending you to use the single line quotation. And triple quotes are used to represent multiple line string. Okay, multiple line string. So if your text your string is something like that. So this is a Python class, something like that. So then you can use, if this is two lines, so you can use triple quotations. Triple single quotations are fine, or else single triple quotation or double quotation. But if you use one side, the same thing you can close with other side. Okay, so these are for multi-line string, we are using the triple quotations. For multi-line string, we are using the triple quotation. Every character is represented with unique index. See, every character is represented with unique index. For example, here what I am writing, so when that object is created, so it is created like this. So every character is represented with one unique index. Okay. So for example, so this is A, Y, O, G, I. Okay. See, likewise it is created. So for every character, it is represented with the unique index. Unique index. So this is the zero index. Okay, zero index, and it is one index. It is two index. It is three index, and it is a fourth index. Fourth index. Okay. See, every character is represented with a unique index. So it's supporting both the positive index and negative index. So this is called positive index. Okay, this is called so positive index. So 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, and negative index is also supporting. So it will we can write here. You can see. So here it is a -1. So -2 and -3, -4 and -5. Okay, so 0 index or -5 index will return a value. 3 index or -2 index will give you the G value. Okay, so it is organized like this. It is organizing the characters like this. Okay, see, every character is represented with unique index. Okay, so it is supporting both positive. So positive means 0, 1, 2, 3, and negative index means -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, like this. So starting with -1 and ends with last character. So first character, and positive index is starting with 0 and ending with last character. See, it is positive index starts from 0 to, and negative index starting from -1. Okay, and by using the index we can read the data from string. So using the index values, we can read the data, this data. If you want to read G, so using index we can read. Okay, so for example, this is S. Okay, S is equal to, so S is equal to a yogi. Okay, here I'm taking S is equal to a yogi. Okay, this is a string, and this every character. Okay, every character. So A is in 0 index, Y is in 1 index, O is in 2 index, and G is in 3 index, and I is in fourth index. Or else we can say -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. But always the data is reading, the always data is reading forward direction. From left to right only it will read. Okay, that's what I given this arrow mark. From left to right is it is reading. So how, what is left to right forward reading, I'll tell you. Okay, so now s of 0, s of 0. So what is the output? So s of 0 index.
A.
So a, so it will read the a. s of s of -5. What is the output?
A. Same
A.
A.
A only. Okay. So S of -1.
I.
I. Okay. S of 4. I. So likewise, we can read the data from the string. Okay. So this is one character we are reading. But I wanted to read. But I wanted to read instead of single character. I wanted to read from Y to G. Y to G. Y O G. I want. So for that we can write S of. So what is the index value of 1? Y 1, right? So 1 and colon. Colon is a delimiter. okay, delimiter, it will split the string. It will split the string from left side 1 to, if you give the 4, if you give the 4, so if you give the 4, it will read up to 3 only. So it is excluding. So whatever you are giving this right side 4, no, so that will not read. So it will read from 1 to third index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index. Now this value is YOG. Okay, YOG. Okay, but I don't know what is the last index, but I wanted to read from one index to last. Okay, so how we can use s of 1 colon, and don't give the right side, don't give the right side value. So it will read from one index to all the characters at last, all the characters at last. If you don't give the starting and directly colon, and if you give some 100, if you give some 100, so what is the output for this? What is the output for this?
It will read from starting.
So if starting is not given, it is reading by default. It is reading from 0 index and up to 100. But so here it is max is fourth index. So it will read up to fourth index and it will leave. So if you give s of colon 4. Now what is the output for this?
AYOOG.
AYOG. So I will not read, because as I said, if you give the last index, it will read up to before specified this index. Okay, and also this is, I told you in the previous class, range, when we use the range function, right? So when we use the range function, if you give range of 1 comma 10, it will give 1 to 9 only, 1 2 3 4 up to 9 only. So before specified number, if you use the range function, in the last class we have seen this, so you can go through it. So whatever the specified digit, no, so before that it will give you. So here also it will give you same. Okay. So now I'm just clearing out. We'll write the programs with example, and now you can see this is the iterable object, because there are group of elements which are reading one by one character. So for the iterable object, there is one built-in function called len function. So this will calculate the length of that string. So how many characters are there in this length? Okay, how many characters are there in that string? We, if you want to know, so we can use the len function. We can use the len function. Just a minute. Is it okay? Now able to hear. Okay, so thanks for that. Yeah, please let me know. Don't be ideal if I'm speaking and you are not able to listen. Okay, thanks for letting us know. Okay, now so I'm taking this string. You can also take. I'm just commenting, so you can also take double quotations. You get tech. So single quotation or double quotation, or you can take multi-line string. Okay, so if you take the print of x and print of type of x, so now let's see the output. Okay, let's see the output. So now you can see the yogi tech is printed because of print of x and print type of x. It is a string data type, class string. Okay, and now I wanted to, okay, for example, if you want to take multi-line string, okay, some y equals to, I'm taking yogi tech, so online training. Okay, see, for example, if you take the two line string, then you have to use triple quotations. Have to use triple quotations. Okay, now you can see the, you can see the same output. So yogi tech online training class string, both are strings. Okay, now I'm taking x, so print of x of 0, print of x of 0, what is the output of this?
Y.
Y. So print of x, x of minus 1, what is the output?
H.
H. Correct. And print of 0 colon 4, what is the output?
Y. O. G.
0 1 2 3 I, till I it will give
Okay.
0 1.
Okay.
Okay, okay, so 0 colon 4, 0 colon 4 will give you the, so 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index, it will not give the fourth index. So yogi, so let's run this. See, it is giving yogi and y and h. Okay, now tell me, so print of so if you give the 0 to colon also, both are same, both are same. So by default it will start from 0 only. See, okay, now print of, if you give 4 colon, it will read from t to last, till last, right? And now tell me for this, x of minus 1 colon minus 4, tell me.
From reverse H. C. E. T.
HC it, but as I said, what I told you, always it will read from left to right,
Yes.
not reading. So but here I am giving from minus 1 to, sorry, so here I am giving from minus 1 to, now minus 2, so like that I am giving, right, minus 3. So if it is arranging like this, we need to read from minus 3 to minus 1, like that we need to read, but it should not read from minus 1 to, it will not read from minus 1 to minus 3. So this will give you the empty string. Okay, not in reverse. See here it is empty printed. Okay. Now if you print x of minus 4 colon minus 1 reverse. Now it will be reading. Now it will be reading. So what is the minus 4? Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. Minus 4 is the t. Minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1. Okay. But what I told you, if you give the minus 1, it will not read minus 1. It will read minus 2, up to minus 2 only. So TEC is the output. Understood?
Yes, yes.
See, TEC only printed. So if you print H also, just remove the last minus 1. It will read till end. Till end. Okay. Now tell me, print of x of 4 colon 1. What is the value of 4 colon 1?
Same empty string, I think.
Correct. Empty. It will not read backward.
Mhm.
It will not read backward. So 1 colon 4 will be reading. Okay, save. Now run this. See. So it is empty and it is reading one is 0 and O and GI. So clear? Any doubt in this reading data from the string?
No, sir.
Okay. And as I said, there is a inbuilt function len. So len is a inbuilt function which is built-in function which is used to uh, find the length of the length of this object. So that is applicable for only for iterable objects. So iterable objects. So what are the iterable objects? Somewhere I see here iterable objects. So what are the, remember this thing? What are the iterable objects? String, list, tuple, set, dict. Okay. So list, tuple, set are the collection data types, and string is the fundamental data type, but it is a iterable object. So these all are iterable objects. Okay. So for these all of iterable objects, we will use the len function. We will use the len function. Okay. So what it will give you if you give the len of x. Okay. So print. Okay. So length. Okay. Length, comma. If you use the x, len of x. Okay. So it will give you the count of this string. So how many letters it is there? 448, right? So you can see the length is 8 characters. Okay. The len function will give you the length of the string. Okay. Now tell me, I'm taking a equals to 10,000. Okay. And I'm going to calculate len of a. What is the output for this len of a? What is the output for this len of a?
Error, I think, sir.
Yes, error, because a is not iterable object. So we can't use the len function for the integers. Only for applicable for string and all the collection data types. So only see object type int has no len. It is saying object has int has no len function. Okay. So remember this. Any doubt from this list? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is all about string. Yeah. So in the next class we can see the list data structure. Okay. Um, uh, Before that, in all the classes, if you have any doubts, feel free to ask me. And also I given one this finding the natural numbers sum using the for loop. Did you try it?
Sir, if you have some time, you can explain this while looping statements once again, sir.
Okay.
If you find some time, extra time.
Yeah, I'll tell you now only, no problem. Okay. See, in control flow statements, there are two looping statements. One is while loop and another one is a for loop. Okay. See, while loop we can write like this. So while and some condition. Okay. So the condition is um, like I less than or equals to 5, like this we will write the condition. Okay. And we'll print some statement. Okay. And also we'll give some I plus equals to 1, some data we are typing here. Okay. Some statements we are writing in this block. Okay. In the starting I am taking I equals to 0. Okay. So first it is so till this condition becomes false. Okay. If it is not failing, it is not returning any false. Okay. It is always true. So till what time it is true, that many times these statements within this loop, within this block. Okay. So within this block, how many statements? If you have 10 statements, this 10 test statements keep on repeatedly executing, keep on repeating, executed, repeating until this condition becomes false. If it is not, becoming false, it is keep on executing, repeating the same statements, executing many times. Is this clear?
Okay.
Clear? Any doubt?
Yes, yes, this is one clear.
Okay. So to fail that this condition, we are incrementing the I value here. Okay, we are incrementing because after incrementing here it will become 5, and next time it will come 6. So at the time it will false, then the loop will execution will stop. So this is the while loop. Okay. So whereas for loop, for loop so for loop is how many times it will execute. For example, this is the syntax for I in, for I in, for I in some some iterable object. So here we will take the iterable object. Okay. So here how many times the, what is the length of this string?
Five. Five.
5. So whatever you written in this, so print of welcome and print of some data. Okay, some data. Okay. So if you run this 5 times, these statements will repeated. You can see. Okay. See here. Welcome A data. Welcome Y data. Welcome O data. So here welcome data is keep on executing two statements. How many times? How many times? So this is one time. To, with respect to every element. So how many elements are there? That many times it will execute. This is the for loop. And also if you want, you can use these characters within this loop, because every character it is coming in this variable. Okay, so if you write a print statement, so print of I, see if you run this, now you can see AYOGI. So it is coming one by one element from this string. Okay, so if you want, it is printing like line by line. Okay, if you want to print side by side, so just you can use end equals to some empty string. So then you can run here, you can see it is printing so side by side. Okay, and how you can print using while loop. So here it is printing one by one character, right? So in while loop, for example, i'm taking I'm taking some s is equal to some, taking python. Okay, python I am taking this keyword, python I am taking. And how you can print using while loop, tell me, do you have any idea how to print?
No, sir.
So because it is not with respect to this number of characters, right? It will not with respect to number of characters. So
Okay.
that's what you can use. Okay, so let me take it this from here and keep it here. In this I'm adding. Okay, so while uh, I less than or equals to len of s, you can take len of s. So how many number of length of this string, so till then you can run this loop. Okay, first take the I equals to 0, then increment. Okay, then now inside this, how to print this p from s, how to print p, what is the index of p?
0.
0. If you write s of 0, it will print p, right?
Okay.
And if
Yeah.
you want to print y, s of 1,
1.
s of 2, s of 3. So that will come inside while loop dynamically. So you can print s of I, s of I. So here I value, first it is 0. Okay, and here 0 less than len of s. What is the length? 6 characters. 6 character. And s of 0. So first it will come s of 0 and it will print p. And you need to increment the I value. Okay, now I value become 1 here. Next here 1 come, and here it will increment to 2. 2 come here, s of 2, like that it will come. Okay, so it is needed till len, because now one thing I forgot. So now tell me, if it is s is equal to, okay, yogi, then what is the s of 3? What is the s of 3? What is the s of 3 value?
I think.
0 1 2 3 I.
Yes.
So last index is 3, right?
Yeah.
And s of 4, what is the s of 4 value?
Empty. I think.
No, not it is empty. If it is no index, so it is max index is 3 only, but you are trying to access the fourth index. Okay, but here it will throw an error called index error. Okay, so you will get index error. You will get index error. Got it? If the maximum index is 3, if you are trying to more than that, so you will get an index error. I'll show you. So S is equal to some yogi, and S of 3 is I, S of 4 is index error. See, string index out of range. It is out of range. Got it? So now if you run this program, you can see it is printing p here, because here you added end equals to n, right? So better you can add one more print with the slash n. Slash n will give you the new line. New line. Okay. Now you can run. You can see new line. It is given the new line and python. So this is because of while loop. Through the while loop you are printing. So in the above you are printing through the for loop. Okay. So while loop, if you are using while loop, you have to use the index. Through the index you can able to access the data. You can able to access the data. Got it? How you are printing this one by one character in a while loop.
Yes.
Okay. uh, so you can practice these all the things with the different scenarios. Okay. Yeah, so that is the thing. And here I'm giving one question, just do it. So question is, so you are using len function, right? So without using len function, calculate the length of the string. Okay, you can try this. Without using the len function, calculate the length of the string. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. So try this. Let me push this notes till now. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you. I'll push the notes. Till. Okay. Now I'm going to push. Two changes. So today's class is okay. Done. Thank you.